Cynthia. I'm here on the mountain on a rainy day, about to make a sunshiny sunflower project with you. This is a DIY paint puzzle that ends up being a plaque. I think you could also put something hot on this and use it as a trivet. And I wanted to show you two different versions of the same puzzle because depending on what style you like, the saturated color or the recommended sort of paint and wipe off effect, you have two very different end products. So I love that it's a sunflower. They're in our farmers markets right now, and here in Pennsylvania we're just awash in sunflowers. So I really hope you enjoy this. When you open up your box, you're going to find your puzzle clamped together, and right now it looks like an elementary school puzzle, but don't be deceived. This is an adult puzzle with some little tiny pieces in it. It can get a little fiddly is the word that I like. So this is actually a great rainy afternoon project because you can take your time, go one color at a time. When you open your box, you're going to find that you have the colors that you need. I'm going to use the more saturated one to show you, to do your flower, your sun, your sky, and then the field behind it. And you're going to want to get those paints ready to go, and you're going to need to get your puzzle off of the frame that's, the background frame that it's on. So you're going to want to slide that puzzle slowly onto a piece of paper, keeping it intact. So you're going to want to be on a level table as you slide. So when you do that, you're going to take these clamps off, your puzzle's intact, and you're going to slide over onto the paper. And one of the things, I'm going to move this over, one of the things that you'll get in your box is your cheat sheet that shows you how it is laid out. And once you get rolling, you really sort of are color blocking. So you can do one color, the entire color, and then move on to the next. So basically you have paints, you have wipes, and that's how you create the painting effect of paint and wipe, which gives you that sort of, you still see the wood grain effect in your project. And then you have glue to put your pieces in. It's that simple, but it's challenging and fun. So I'm going to move my picture. I'm going to move over the parts of my puzzle that I have not already put on to the frame because I wanted to get it started for you. How you'll begin is once your puzzle is slid over on the paper, you're going to lift that frame up and all the puzzle pieces will stay intact right here, and you're going to glue your frame onto your back piece. So that's this portion right here. And we're recommending that you glue it on before you paint it. And then once it's on, you can paint it. We went with black on this one. Let me just grab this one more time. I'm not going to be able to pick it up. I can do it. This one is a more wood stained effect. Honestly, this isn't the one I made, but it's the one I like the best. I really like that sort of washed out look because, as we've said, I really like that vintage feel. But if you're really into the primary colors, then this would be the way to go. And it's really supposed to, in the end, resemble a piece of stained glass, even though it's out of wood. So when you're looking at it, you're going to see that when it was cut out, the puzzle frame has the black tinge to it, and that's what would have been the lead in stained glass. So I went ahead and I did the green because the green is big and easy to see where all those pieces go. And then what I thought I would do is paint a couple of the sunflower pieces and show you how to get them in. Ultimately, you're going to be doing your painting and find that there are little tiny pieces, because this laser cutting is just so extraordinary. You're going to have little tiny pieces that you're painting. You can just hold them and paint them. If you really get desperate, you can put them on the paint tape, which is something we learned in a previous project. It's to lay the tape out and put your pieces on and paint. And in another previous project, I think this is going all the way back to December, when you had little tiny pieces that you were picking up, you were given a pair of tweezers in your box. So if you still have those, that's an excellent way to pick up these little pieces and get them into their slots. All right, so it's that simple. And I'm going to get out one of my wipes, and I'm going to start with something big and central, and I'm going to do my sunflower center. And we've been doing it in brown mixed with a little bit of yellow. You can do it however you want, because sunflowers all have different colors in the middle. And that's another thing I wanted to point out, is that in a recent project, you got an entire spectrum of paints. So if you're looking at this and you want to go in a different direction paint-wise, you have a little bit of stuff left for you to do that. So I'm going to take some brown, just a tiny bit, and I'm going to get this on here. And your wipe keeps it wet. Your wipe keeps it looking more like stain than paint. So there's a little brown, and then I'm going to take a different corner and get a tiny bit of yellow, and I'm going to just mix that in, okay? And I just bought some sunflowers, and in addition to all those gorgeous, just traditional yellow sunflowers, there's a lot of varieties now, and some of them have literally red leaves and black centers. Do you know what I mean? So this really is what direction you want to go. I am happy with this. It's kind of variegated. And then I'm going to look at my puzzle. This is where I tell you that I work with seniors with dementia, and they're better at this than I am. Puzzles are challenging for me, but is this open? So one of the things I try to do with these pieces when they've got so many similar curves or whatever is look for something that sticks out. So this has a straight edge. I can see where that straight edge goes. I know you know this. You do puzzles all the time. I don't. Here we go. Getting that into place. And it's that simple. So from there, I'm going to rainbow out toward my petals. So I'm actually going to move this for just a second. And the way I worked was to do some glue, do some glue. You can do it however you want, but I'm going to pull some of these top pieces, because the way I work is my eye can see exactly where they go. And if I paint too many of them, I might lose exactly where they're going, and it just becomes a little more challenging. So I can still use this wipe. I'm going with yellow. And you're putting the paint on, but not saturating. You're wiping. If you get more paint on than you were hoping to have, just take a clean part of your wipe and remove some of that paint. So I'm going to do these 3 pieces. I'm wondering, honestly, if you could have heard the rain in the background when we first started the video, because it has just stopped, and now the silence is deafening. You get used to the rain, and then it's the quiet that feels like a surprise. And if you were watching last month's video, and I talked a little bit about the cicadas that we had here on the mountain, we found out later the sound of the cicadas was in the video, so it's actually kind of fun. You get a piece of our home with you. All right, so I'm looking at my puzzle piece, and I can see that these are the 3 places I'm going to put these. So I'm going to put a dab of glue. I just put a tiny bit too much. So here's another hint about that. If you get more than you were hoping to have and it comes up a little bit on the sides, do not despair, because you have a wipe and you can just take it away. And when it clicks in, it's very satisfying. There you go. And I'm going to hold this up for a second for you to see. And as I look at the three of these, this is the lightest, this is in the middle, and then we have a saturated one. So it's kind of fun. They're all different. And I'm going to take the next three. So I can see that these are the next three. And here we go. And I always like to say which part of this project I think it would be fun to share with your kids. My son is 27, and he was not a crafter. He didn't like little things. He didn't like to fuss with little things. But he's really fascinated by what we do here at White Acres. And I actually think this one he would enjoy because of the puzzle part of it. And your kids might like the puzzle part of it. So in other words, maybe you're painting and they're fitting in, maybe they're painting and you're fitting in, but I do think this is something you can share. Or not, if you want to be alone. And here go our next three pieces. Sorry for the silence, but I'm enjoying that I can actually see where everything goes. Another thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is that when the pieces are really tiny and the framing is really thin, you just want to be respectful of that because it can be fragile. So sometimes when you're putting in, just go slow so that you're not having a moment where just this tiny piece gets a little weak. All right, here go my next 2, 3, dare I do 4? I think I do. And here we go. I liked last month's project so much that I've started taking these ideas to work with me. Hope that you really enjoyed your jars. Patriotic stuff has such a feel to it that fits a perfect moment in time in the summer, and then all of a sudden you're done with red, white, and blue, and you want these colors. So I love that it's in the box, takes us through every one of those seasons. And it's very good for your brain to be doing this, because it's the kind of stuff we did when we were kids and then stopped. This piece looks like a little diamond. And this one looks like a little teardrop. And I'm on to, I'm going to say, the next 4. And that takes me to the stem of the sunflower, which means I would be halfway done. I don't know where you live, but around here, farmers make money by growing fields of sunflowers and then having us pay for the privilege of walking through those fields and taking pictures. Some of them let you cut, but a lot of them really don't do that. They just let you enjoy the atmosphere of it. It's kind of extraordinary because they're huge. They really are huge. They make spectacular backdrops. And they're full of bees, which we know is a good thing. The fields, I mean. And interestingly, I'm going quicker than I did the first time I did this, so obviously you get better at it as you go. That's good to know. There we go. Let's do 1, 2, 3. What's going to be left when I finish the sunflower is my sunshine and my sky and my field. So you'll move on to brown and blue and orange. You'll be making the orange because you learned how to do that because you've got a color palette in one of your boxes. And you can make that orange as orangey or as yellowy or as reddy as you want. Come on, little piece. There we go. There we go. And again, you have clean wipes because you're going to be using probably, you know, a different wipe each color or a different half of wipe each color. So if you have a moment where you get a little bit of the paint or the glue coming up, it's miraculously easy to clean up. Okay, and we are getting there. We are getting there. 1, 2, 4. Yeah. It's so quiet now. I was traveling today and a little worried about the rain in my travels, and every man I know told me it wouldn't rain very much, and it has been raining all day, off and on. Sometimes gentle and summery, and sometimes pretty dramatic. All right, this one I need to look at a minute. I can see that this one goes here. I can see that this one goes here. And I can see that there's a piece right there, and I'm going to have to check out whether that is in fact a piece of sunflower petal or whether it's part of the backdrop. So I'm going to refer to one. Oh, yes, so this is part of the sunflower. Okay. Remember, you have a picture, you have a guide. Remember, if you don't get it exactly right, no one will be able to tell. So, triangle. I think we're down to 3. Down to 3 pieces. Okay. When you're painting, don't worry if it goes, you know, on the side, it's not going to show. When you're painting your frame, don't worry if it goes on the backdrop because it's not going to show. I would wear an apron. All right. So these are fairly, these are fairly large pieces. That one's not going in as easy as I had hoped. There we go. There we go. This one's starting to get small. If you get a piece that when you go to use your glue, you feel like it's not really going to drop where you want it, then you can do a little cheat. Put some glue on your plate and dip it in the glue rather than try to drop the glue in. There we go. I'm going to clean that up a tiny bit. And then I'm gonna, again, one more time, I know you can't even see this, but you have pieces this small. And that's why it's really helpful to keep this as it is, so that when you're looking at your picture, you can see where those little pieces go. And those are the ones you might want to use tweezers once they're painted to pick up, drop in the glue, and drop into place. All right, so I'm going to show you where we are in this process. Got my sunshine and I've got my rows that are the field. And when you're done, you can hang this on the wall. What I like to do at a craft store is buy the little easels, the little tiny easels, and put something like this on an easel on a shelf instead of, you know, actually having to put a hole in the wall. I really like doing that. I also prop some of these things. I don't know what kind of stovetop you have, but I have a place on my stovetop where I often put decorations, seasonal decorations. And then there are the wonderful, I don't believe in them, but some people do, command strips that go on the wall. They won't hurt your wall. I just don't find that they always keep stuff where you want it to be. So it's not going to hurt anything to try with a command strip to keep it on the wall. I just find that often things don't stay where I hope. But there's so many different ways that you can use this seasonal plaque. And again, if this is something, you know, let's say you're barbecuing and you have a table outside, this will look gorgeous just sitting on the table with a vase of sunflowers. Simple wooden painted puzzle plaque. I really hope you love it. Thanks. That's in the box. Happy summer. I mean, I was looking freaking magical.